On today's extended episode of Into Your Head, number 651 for Wednesday, why children should be given coffee, the rules of the road as seen through the eyes of a dog, making capsules from piss, midnight postal deliveries, the cat interstate highway, glorifying water, defining indefinable, podcast openings, facial openings, some news about the word antidisestablishmentarianism, legislating for cat marmalade, carousels versus arousal, and lots more.
You're listening to Into Your Head because you couldn't find anything better now, could you?
Monkey nuts, that's what they call them. Monkey nuts, into your head. Monkey nuts, that's what they call them. Big steaming piles of monkey nuts into your head.
Hello, this is a prelude to today's episode of Into Your Head Podcast. Hello. Today's episode of Into Your Head Podcast. Hello. Will start shortly. It'll start. Oh, don't worry. We're just warming up here. We're getting going. It's only 8:45 in the morning. I haven't barely even finished my coffee yet. I have a new coffee machine though, so don't panic. The coffee situation is taking a step up over Christmas. We have a coffee maker, no more instant testicular value coffee from the supermarket. No, we have proper bean coffee made from beans. You put the beans in one end and you press a button and coffee comes out the other end and you drink it, and then you put the coffee back in that end and it comes out, it doesn't come out as beans. Don't be fucking ridiculous. Beans, they're good for your heart. The more you eat, the more you overstimulate yourself with coffee. That's what they say. Although that was different when I was a child. But we didn't know about coffee beans then. We weren't allowed to have coffee as kids. We were allowed to have tons of sugar, but no coffee. Children should have coffee. More coffee. It might stop people having kids that they don't want. If you were forced by law to give your children coffee first thing every morning and 2 hours before bedtime, that might stop you from over reproducing, I can tell you. Anyway, suffice to say, hello, and here's the opening. Here's the opening of the show. Isn't it great? There's going to be an opening now. Just like there's an opening in the middle of your face. In fact, there's 3 openings in the middle of your face, although I would say your 2 nostrils count as one opening with a little bridge in the middle. It's like if you have double doors and there's an upright beam in the middle, which there usually isn't, but nonetheless though. So no, there's 2 orifices in the middle of your face, and the eyes, those aren't orifices. In order for it to be an orifice, you would have to have no eyeballs and just have big holes there. But no, it's not an orifice or an opening. No. But this is an opening. What follows is an opening to this episode of Into Your Head. Hello. 2 podcast openings walk into a bar. One of the podcast openings goes straight up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, you join me at a tremendously exciting moment. It's Into Your Head, number 651 for Wednesday. We've a lot to get on with today." And the barman straight away interrupts him and he says, "If you don't mind me saying so, you're obsolete. We don't do the you join me at a tremendously exciting moment part anymore. Because that would be overkill after the whole on today's Into Your Head and the introductory music thing. So we just start with, we've a lot to get on with today." So the podcast introduction says, "Fair enough, but I can adapt to the times. That doesn't make me obsolete at all. Give me a fucking break. Give me a chance to adapt. You don't just sack someone just because you bring in something new. And no, you wait and you see if they're able to adapt to it. I can adapt to it. So let's see, I'll adapt to it right now. I'll say, we've a lot to get on with today. Items that need to be attended to. Issues that need to be addressed. Topics. And the barman interrupts him and says, "If you don't mind, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but that's overkill. I know part of the standard introduction is to go, topics, but you went, show, and as far as I can see, would have been prepared to continue it for another 10 minutes, which would bring us up almost to the commercial break. And if you don't mind me saying so, that's just taking the piss. And the podcast introduction says, fair enough, although just for the record, I wasn't going to stretch it out to 10 minutes. I would have gone about, I'd say about 20 seconds maybe at the most, depending on my lung capacity, which I haven't measured in some time. In fact, I don't think I've ever formally measured or had measured my lung capacity. Hasn't come up, which is probably a good thing. My lung capacity has never been an issue in my life that I've had to look into. Why would it be? I'm not a person. I'm a podcast introduction. And basically, what am I? I'm not even an inanimate object, because I'm not an object. I'm just a format, basically, is what I am. I'm a format. There may be representations of me in MP3 files or in notes somewhere, but I myself am not even an object. I'm just a theory, a theoretical thing. And the man behind the bar says, I understand. I myself am not even an inanimate object. I'm a fictional person behind the bar who for some reason is serving you. I'm not sure why. And the podcast introduction says, me neither. And why are you so concerned about what kind of introduction I am anyway? You're just here to serve me beer. And the man behind the bar says, no, I'm not. I'm not the barman. I'm just the man behind the bar. I don't even work here. You're making assumptions there. Making assumptions like there's no tomorrow, which indeed there probably isn't. If this is a fictional snapshot of a fictional time, there's no tomorrow. We're not on a timeline here. There's no timeline here. Time doesn't exist here in the fictional imaginary world. Or maybe it does. Insofar as anything else can exist here. Maybe we should look into our story notes and see is there a timeline. It doesn't exist though unless the author actually goes to the trouble of setting one up. Otherwise it doesn't exist at all, unless the reader assumes it exists. What reader? I know what you're thinking. I meant the listener. However. Anyway, hello and welcome to the show. Thank you very much. What can I do for you? Can I have 2 pints of Guinness, please? Fair enough. And thank you for welcoming me to the show, whatever that is. You're welcome. The great night is had by all. Monkey nuts. That's what they call them. They call them big, steaming, dolloping, shit-eating, pid podder. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know. And none of this means anything. Relax. Take a chill pill. Take one of these. Take one of these omega-3 fish oils from Lidl. 1,000 megagrams. There's 1,000 megagrams of fish oils in each of these capsules. The capsule itself, I don't know what that's made of. It's probably made of piss. Can you make capsules from piss? You probably can. If the taste of those fish oil tablets is anything to judge by, you're probably not meant to chew on them and taste them. You're supposed to just wash them down with half a gallon of water. You're supposed to, water is the cure to all ails, if you believe the media nowadays. Every second day you see an article saying, water doesn't cause cancer, water doesn't cause AIDS, drinking too much coffee or not walking or injecting yourself with the AIDS virus causes those things. But no, water is great, supposedly. We're led to believe water is the giver of the elixir of life. It's like the holy grail of the life world. It's like the whatever caused Adam and Eve to exist. Some sort of a seed, presumably. I haven't read the full story in some time. I presume the story of Adam and Eve starts with once upon a time there was Adam's parents and they had sexual intercourse, and then Adam and Eve came along. Adam came along and Eve was made from a stick that came out of something. I forget the exact details. If you want the exact details, read the Bible. That's your job as a Bible person to read it. It's not my job to read the Bible to you. I'm not a freaking storyteller. I'm not a storyteller. I'm a storyteller's son. I'm only plucking pheasants till the pheasant plucker comes. I'm not a pheasant plucker. I'm a pheasant plucker's son. There's the postwoman in the next estate already. It's only 8:30 in the morning and she's already done this estate and is on to the next one. That's the post-Christmas period for you there. No letters to be done. Although I got 4 letters today from her. Well, not from her, but delivered by her over half an hour ago now. Fucking ridiculous. They're becoming in the middle of the fucking night next. They go from one extreme came to the other, when I moved here, the post used to come at 9 o'clock the next night. Now it's back to 9 o'clock the night before, because they rearranged the routes. They said, instead of going that way, we're going to start down there and come the other way. And I supposedly, I benefited from that, if you call it benefiting, getting your frigging bills half a day earlier. There's no benefit to that. Where's the benefit to that? You tell me. Answers on whatever. Just answer me. Answer me. Something. Answer me. Oh, answer me. I know it's not the Beatles, but that's because I'm not the Beatles. I'm Neil from Into Your Head podcast. Hello. Two cats walk into a bar. One of the cats straight away goes up to the bar counter and says, "Hello, can I have a pint of your finest milk, please?" And the man behind the bar says, "I'm sorry, we don't have milk in pints anymore. We only have them in metric tons." And the cat says, "Oh, that's a shame. Do you have Murphy's?" Murphy's, to you foreigners, in case you don't know, it's a bit like Guinness, except it tastes like milk. So clearly a cat would like it. That's where I'm going with this. A cat would like Murphy's because it tastes like milk. And the man behind the bar says, "I'm sorry, sir, we don't do Murphy's. You only do Guinness. But I think you'll find that far superior anyway." And the cat says, "I don't doubt that, but it doesn't taste like milk, does it?" And the man behind the bar says, "I have to admit, no, it doesn't. Would you settle for a Baileys?" And the cat says, "Is that available in pints?" And the man behind the bar says, "Well, I could pour you out 7 or 8 shots of it and put that into a pint glass for you. Although you might find it a bit expensive." And the cat says, "Money is no object to me. I'm a cat. I don't even use money, so money is meaningless to me. So go ahead." And the man behind the bar says, "Hold on, does that mean you're not going to be able to pay for it?" And the cat says, "I don't know. I'm not a part of the economy. I'm a cat. The economics and money and finance, that's a human thing. Just as you people don't go around killing mices and bring them home for your dinner, we don't go around using currency. It's the yin and yang, that's what it is." And the man behind the bar says, "Well, I'm afraid I can't serve you then, sir. If you can't pay me for it, I'm in this for the money. While I do enjoy the chat and the social part of it, I am in this to make money, so I'm sorry I can't give you 8 free shots of Baileys." And the cat says, "Oh, that's understandable, I suppose," and walks out. Now, I know what you're thinking there. You're thinking, so far, this isn't one of the finest episodes of Into Your Head ever made. Well, don't worry about that. It's a mixed bag here. It's hit and miss. This isn't freaking Seinfeld. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's in between. Sometimes it's indefinable. So we just call it indefinable, which I know what you're thinking. You're smart arse. You're thinking, oh, indefinable is itself a definition. Well, no, it's not. It's a word. It's just a word, a proverb or an adnoun or something. It's not a definition. The definition of whatever the hell the word I just said would be a definition, but the word itself is not a definition. You smart arse. You fucking smart arse. Go off and do your Irish Times cross words with your fucking 8 down, 2 across, 7 letters, starts with P, ends with S, has a few other letters in between, and means nothing. Means nothing because it's a made up word designed to make other people. My father used to do the Irish Times complex crossword. He'd sit down, he'd do the normal crosswords for warm up, and then he'd do the complicated crosswords. All the obscure clues. Or say 7 hats, never a washer of adverbs was, and he'd figure it out. He'd say, "Oh, I know what that is. It's antidisestablishmentarianism." And then he'd write it. "Oh, that reminds me. I had some news on that front, on the antidisestablishmentarianism front." Let me get this. I printed this out. It's a major development. I was dealing with an issue on Facebook the other day. I was saying I was pointing out that if I'm conversing with people in English, I pronounce les miserables in English, not French, if it ever comes up. And that started some conversation with a fella called Johnson, and he said, I'm only friends with this fella because I thought he was the fella who owned my local garage that does the cheap tyres, but he's not. Anyway, he pointed out that miserables is not English and a load of other stuff. But then we got on to antidisestablishmentarianism. Now, long-term listeners will know that back when I was about 14, a life-changing event happened whereby I was sitting in class one day and the substitute English teacher, who happens to have been one of the supposedly most respected English teachers in Ireland, he's written several books. He said, everyone put your hands up now and come up with the longest word you can think of. And I came up with antidisestablishmentarianism, and everyone was impressed except him. And he said, that's not a real word. And I was, that's ruined my life since. That was 24 years ago. Anyway, I happened to mention that during this conversation here, and Johnson came along and says, by the way, your teacher was wrong. Anti-disestablishmentarianism with 28 letters is defined in the Oxford English Dictionary, a 20-volume historic dictionary of English, as follows. Properly, opposition to the establishment of the Church of England. I printed this in landscape, so I'm missing a few words. Anyway, suffice to say, Johnson on Facebook he's changed my life. Basically, anti-disestablishmentarianism, I was right. It's a real word. It was a real word. It's wrong correspondence. Here's one from listener Mitch. Neil, you tweeted, we really need to come up with a more appropriate spelling for the word carousel. Did you say that because the first 6 letters in carousel almost spell arousal, and that we should not give anyone cause to associate carousels with arousal, lest they form the idea that it is okay to regard small children, who are the biggest speculators in carouselular services, as objects of the same? Mitch. Well, thank you very much for that, Mitch. I'll let the listeners decide for themselves what to make of that. I'm going to stay unbiased, just like the Irish Times, except in the fucking crossword section. No, I'm going to remain unbiased and let the audience decide what they think of Mitch and his carousal thing, or whatever the hell it was, something about my tweets. Anyway, on with the show. Once upon a time, there was another dog, not to be confused with the dog referred to later in the programme, when I'll also be doing Once Upon a Time There Was a Dog story. Don't worry, they're going to be 2 entirely different segments. They're going to bear no relation to each other whatsoever, except that both of them start with Once Upon a Time There Was a Dog. In fact, in this instance, it's not even going to be a story about a dog. It's just how I chose to start the segment. There's going to be no further mention of a dog or even a story about a dog in this segment. So no, if you were worried about duplication, worry no more. There's a weight off your head, a weight off your mind and off your head. Well, not off your head. If you want to take a weight off your head, you need to just put your hand up there and remove it. I can't help you with that. I can take a weight off your mind, but I can't take it off your head, unfortunately, because I'm not in your location. I can only deal with the non-physical stuff, the mental stuff. Although I think you'll find mental is important. Mentalistics are important in this world. That's full to the brim of people going around with axes threatening to murder you, and that's full of, there's a cat. I think that's Annie. That's Annie. There's Annie the cat. Or is it? I wonder if there's a cat coming along the interstate highway. It's a large, tall wall between this estate and the next. next, and they walk along it to get from the next stage back to our house. I think it was Annie. She's going very fast. I hope she slows the fuck down or she'll get pulled over by a cop. A cop will say, "Are you a cat?" And Annie, being a bit stupid, will say, "Yes, I am a cat." Although that's not stupid, because she'll be right. So no, sometimes it's stupid to be honest. And if you're ever pulled over by a cop on an interstate highway wall, the last thing you should say is, "Yes, I am a cat," because they'll say, "Oh, there's a cat illegally in control of a cat's body on the interstate highway wall." Although I suppose it's not a vehicle, and I'm the traffic cops, so it's nothing to do with me. But it is traffic, and yeah, pedestrian is traffic. This is more of an animal thing, though. And then they'll probably call the Animal Welfare Brigade. The Animal Welfare Brigade will come along, all guns blazing, and they'll say, we have a report of an over-accelerating cat on the interstate cat highway. And I'll go, "I didn't know other people called it that. I thought it was just me that called it that. I thought everyone else just called it the big tall wall that divides this estate from the next." And thank Christ it does, because the next estate gets flooded every time there's a bit of rain. There's a little river there that overflows, and if that wall wasn't there, my house would get flooded every time there was a frigging... I can't get... there's insurers who won't insure me now because of that frigging estate. Anyway, suffice to say, that was Annie. Annie the cat, as we call her, or Annie the cat, if you want to be formal. If you want to say, "There's Annie the cat, her name is Annie the cat, and she's a cat, so she's Annie the cat, Anyway, hello.
Into your head.
Do you like this program? Well, it's about time you proved it. Search for Into Your Head in iTunes, leave a 5-star rating, and write a nice review under it. Do it today. It's been 6 years, you know. I'll be checking. I eat podcast listeners for breakfast, you know. Breakfast. Anyway, review the podcast in iTunes. It's important. Hash browns and toast, please.
If you would like to comment on any of the issues raised in this program, email studio@intoyourhead.com. Remember, we value the opinions of you, the humble and ignorant listener.
Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats. Matchstick cats and stuff.
Are you a cat? Or do you know somebody who might be? Then tell yourself about Matchstick Cats, Neil's webcomic. Brand new episodes at intoyourhead.com.
Matchstick cats and stuff. Intoyourhead.com.
Once upon a time, there was a dog. A dog. I like how that sounds on the microphone to me. It sounds deep and it sounds dog. I like it. If it doesn't sound the same to you, I realise, because when I play this back on my iTelephone, it doesn't sound quite as good as it sounds to me when I play it over the microphone, for various technical reasons with which I won't bore you. Suffice to say, I just like to say, in case if you ever wondered why I like pronouncing words like that sometimes, when I go dog, once upon a time there was a dog, it's because I very much like how it sounds at the moment that I say it in my headphones. It sounds great. So anyway, that's that. So anyway, once upon a time there was a dog. The dog was happily wandering around on the road, at the side of the road, the left side of the road, which is illegal. You're supposed to walk on the right side of the road unless there's a footpath or a sidewalk, as you foreigners call it. You have to be literal about everything. Oh, that's not a footpath, it's a sidewalk, because it's for walking along the side. No. Come up with more imaginary names for things, for Christ's sake. Call it a footpath. It's a path for feet, a path that's being laid out for feet to walk upon. You don't need to be all up in your head about it and say, "Oh, feet don't walk, people walk." Get over, get a life, for Christ's sake. It's a footpath, that's what it is. It's a a magical roadway laid out for feet to traverse. Well, not traverse. Well, they can traverse it, but they usually walk along it. If you're traversing it, means you're coming out of your house and crossing the footpath and then crossing the road, presumably, and going over to the other side of the road. Anyway, this dog, he's walking along along the left side of the road, where there's no footpath on either side. You're supposed to walk on the right, so you're walking into the traffic that's on your side, so you can see it coming. Although the same is not true in other countries where you drive on the wrong side of the road, but we drive on the correct side of the road here. We drive on the left. Well, I don't drive at all. I don't drive at all. In fact, one of the last few times that I drove a moped, I drove into the ditch because I thought I was on the wrong side of the road, so I pulled over further to the left and went into a ditch. So shortly after that I decided, there's probably a good chance that I shouldn't be driving, so I did that. Anyway, suffice to say, there was a dog walking along the left side of the road, happily sniffing at things, sniffing at a dead cat, sniffing at a pile of crap, sniffing at a sandwich and eating it, because that's what my cats do that. And people think it's just dogs that eat sandwiches. I've had cats come home with half-wrapped sandwiches with wrappers from the local convenience store half a mile away, and they've come in dragging them in like a dead rabbit or something. They brought in a dead rabbit once too. I don't know if it was dead when they got it, but you can be damn sure the Christ as hell that it was dead when they had it in my hole. I can tell you. I had to sweep it up onto one of them dustpans with the long stick on it and try not to look at it as I dumped it into a black bag and disposed of it in the appropriate manner in accordance with the refuse laws of this country. I can't remember exactly what I did with it, but rest assured I did it appropriately and did some research as to how to dispose of it. That's a load of bollocks. I just put it in the bin. But no, this is all made up. Anyway, the dog continues to walk along the road, eating sandwiches, sniffing dead cats, trying to sniff live cats. And then one minute he's walking along happily. The next minute he's not walking. He's just standing there, staring like a deer into some headlights. In actual fact, he's a dog, but he's staring into some headlights, and the headlights are steering back, or so he thinks. So he starts barking at the headlights. Stop staring at me, you cunt. Just because you have cat's eyes, I don't have cat's eyes. You're not a cat. I'm not stupid. Just because you have headlights, I know what you are. You're a car. You're a carular vehicle. That's what you are. And the car replies, beep, beep, beep. And then the head pokes out of the side of the car and says, get out of the fucking way, dog. The dog says, woof. And the man in the car says, it's illegal to run you over and then go off. Well, if you were a cat, I could do that. I could just run you over and not report it and just flee the scene, and it would all be perfectly legal. But because you're a dog, I have to respect you, even though you're inferior to a cat. Because I'm a cat person, and I've got several cats who are more intelligent than you. And the dog says, woof, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're saying to me. Do you want me to get out of the way? Is that it? And the man behind the car says, stop barking and get out of the fucking way. And the dog moves out of the way, and the car proceeds to move forward in the forwardular direction, although it's not forward from the dog's point of view. And this is what causes the confusion, because the dog then turns around and says, oh, he's going that way, I must be going the wrong way. I'll go around and go the other way. Although now I've just realised I said the dog was walking on the left, and if this car was coming towards him, it would have been on the other side, and the dog wouldn't have been in the way. So clearly the car was driving on the wrong side of the road, even though to you foreigners it would appear to be the correct side of the road. But I can tell you foreigners, if you came over here and drove on the right, it wouldn't last very long, I can tell you. It may seem correct to you if you do it over here. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Well, don't do as the Romans do over here, because the Romans drive on the freaking right and we drive on the left, and you're going to have trouble then. So no wonder there's always dogs in your way. So the dog, anyway, he realises, wait a minute, that fella's on the wrong side of the road. I go to chase after him and have a word with him, because I don't want him to get in trouble with the police. He's clearly a tourist, although he's clearly from an English-speaking country, and one that uses a lot of swear words as well. Maybe I won't bother chasing after him, or will I? I don't know. I can't decide, and he ends up just just chasing his tail around in circles, going, will I, won't I, 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 will I, won't I. Will I, won't I, 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 will I, won't I. Oh, will I, won't I, will I, won't I. Won't I, will I, won't I. I don't know. Is it going to snow? I'm sure I used to do these songs a lot better than this. Back in the days when I used to restrict myself to cat topics, I'm sure my songs were much better. Anyway, on with the show.
You're listening to Into Your Head, hosted by Neil, Ireland's version of the Octomom. Except he's a dude. And has cats.
Ectoplasm. That's what they call it. That's what they call ectoplasm. They call it ectoplasm. Why would you call it anything else? There probably isn't any other word for it, seeing as how it's a fictional concept from the movie Ghostbusters, and from the further movie Ghostbusters 2, and from the further movie which may or may not ever happen and won't have your man in it, so won't be any good, Ghostbusters 3. So no, they just call it ectoplasm. That's what they call it, because that's what it is. If something is something, you should call it that. Call a spade, as they say. That's a spade, so you call it a spade. If it's not a spade, call it not a spade, or else do a bit of research and find out what it actually is and call it that. You should call things what it is. That's what they say, telling stuff like it is, which is terrible grammar, but still makes sense. You see, despite it not being grammatically correct, it makes sense, because grammar isn't everything. Grammar isn't everything. The universe is everything, as well as far as we know. There could be stuff outside of the universe, in which case the universe isn't everything, although the universe is still everything that's in the universe. So I suppose in a way, but in another way, but in a further way, but in another way, but in a... Oh, bollocks, that's enough for that. That's enough for that crap. Pure unmitigated drivel, absolute pure bollocks, pure shit-filled... oh, there's my... I forgot to turn... Oh, do I need to turn it? Oh, no, I don't. I thought I'd forgotten to turn my new one-a-day cat calendar. Not the one I gave my wife. That's the true one-a-day cat calendar. This is a Simon's Cat 2013 calendar, and it's not a one-a-day calendar. It's a one-a-month calendar, so I don't need to turn it until the 31st of January. So that's fine. We're all up to date then. There, with the calendar. What was that? There was a bit of a bang there. I hope it wasn't someone shooting in my house or something. There's no one else in my house at the moment, as far as I know. But if I go out this door in a minute for a piss and there's someone there, I'm going to be worried. Are they listening to this through the... Maybe it was a cat. There could have been Annie, now that I think about it. Annie likes to come into the studio. The same Annie who you'll hear me talking about later or earlier in the show, I forget which, who just came along the Cat Interstate Highway. She's probably banging her head against the door. She does that sort of thing. She comes in and goes runs rampant all over my desk and types stuff. Types a load of crap on the keyboard and then runs off again. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Anyway, here's a work of journalism that I did for one of my old websites many years ago, called Breaking the Law is Already Illegal by me. Yesterday, I was on my way out of a train station when I noticed something that I had never noticed before. Without exception, every single one of the turnstiles at the exit was set to turn in a clockwise direction. So I did some research, and it turns out that all turnstiles and revolving doors in the northern hemisphere turn that way, while everything south of the equator goes counterclockwise. Apparently, the same is true of the way liquids swirl clockwise or anti-clockwise when you pour them down the drain. For some reason that I can't quite fathom, the hands on clocks move clockwise no matter what part of the world you're in. But this got me thinking, what would happen if I started messing with the laws of gravity or magnetism or whatever you call it? Would I get in trouble with the law? I mean, who the fuck set up all these scientific laws anyway? That's a rhetorical question, incidentally, hence the lack of a question mark. Where I come from, if you want to pass a law, you must first put yourself up for election to the national parliament and then convince a majority of your colleagues to vote for your proposed piece of legislation. But apparently, if you're Isaac Newton or somebody, or God, you can pass a law just by saying stuff that nobody else understands. Anyway, as an aside here, I would just like to pay tribute to all of the scientists through the ages who have experimented with apples. I myself once ate an apple right through to the core, and on seeing the hard white flesh near the centre and thinking about it in silence for a few long minutes, came up with an idea for an essay about turnips for my website. So I can see how easily an apple could provide inspiration for such masterpieces as Newton's gravity thing or whatever he came up with. Really, if we're being fair, we should give credit to the apples, not the scientist. But this is a topsy-turvy world, and for some reason, it's always the human, not the inanimate, organic food that gets tanked. Anyway, back to the thing about the laws of science. Now, I, as a private citizen, am not empowered to pass a law, for example, that bans television stations from killing selected viewers who change station during the commercials. However, apparently, I'm completely free to legislate that what goes up must spin 3 times, freeze for a second like a tense moment in a cartoon, then come down, and call it Neil's law of going up and down and spinning in the middle, because that's science. So I've decided that I'm going to take advantage of this newfound power by passing some new scientific laws. I hereby order that cats cannot land on their feet unless they are covered in orange marmalade and humming the theme tune from Frasier. Christ, this is old. Okay, that's enough for now. I don't want to abuse my privileges. In fact, the above short paragraph, I've achieved pretty much everything I set out to achieve when I decided to go into politics. So I'm going to this doesn't make sense, so I'm going to retire now. It was a scientific thing, not a political thing. Anyway, I go on to say, I think I can achieve more by quietly campaigning and maybe making a few euro on the lecture circuit to support myself. You know, when I was a 12-year-old, I wanted to change the world. I thought I would become Prime Minister of my country and I would outlaw all crime and remove poverty forever. Then I came to realise that all crime is already outlawed, so I decided to concentrate on a cure for poverty. The solution I came up with was to give everybody a large amount of money and order them not to spend it. Then nobody would ever be poor again. Nobody would ever be poor again, and we would all live happily ever after, just like in the story of Goldilocks and the 3 bears. Although Goldilocks, of course, would never have dreamed of putting orange marmalade into her cat's paws, or on her cat's paws, and this refusal to conform with the norms of our society would mean that she is now guilty of aiding and abetting a criminal under my new Orange Marmalade Humming Act 2004, referred to earlier, specifically 7 years earlier, when the original version of this article was first published in writing on my then site, either newsburp.com or matchthecats.com, whatever I was calling it then. But you shouldn't take from this that I'm a staunch conservative who wants to hang all criminals and then put them in jail after they're dead. Oh no, all I'm saying is that it's fun to make laws that annoy people, especially those who have cats who refuse to keep a minimum level of marmalade in stock. You know, these are the same people who you see at polling booths, scratching their head and trying to make a last minute decision about who to vote for. My country now has colour photos on the election ballot sheet so that you can pick which candidate has the best hair and vote for him or her without having to find out who they are or what they stand for. So it's not all bad. And I never said it was. I'm not a glass half empty person. It's not empty until I shoved a flat 2-day-old Coke from the night before last down my parched throat at 7 o'clock in the morning because I don't have time to make coffee. Then it's empty. And that brings me nicely back to the hemispheres stroke clockwise stroke anti-clockwise thing, because there's going to be nothing left in the glass to throw down the sink and test which way it swirls as it disappears down the drain. So now we'll never know. Anyway, that was the me of the past, speaking to you in writing from a document I have on my computer, based on a website that I had many years ago. If you go to intoyourhead.com, incidentally, and go into the more section in the menu, you'll find a blog, and you'll find all sorts of written crap like that in there, because I used to write. I used to get out my pencil, and I'd use it to press the button on my laptop, the cover of which was missing, so I needed a pencil to switch it on, and then I'd switch on my laptop and I'd open Word and I'd type words into it. I'd say, you join me at a tremendously exciting moment. Podcasting hasn't been invented yet, so here's some crap that's coming out of my brain and into print. I used to print it onto it wasn't print, was it? Or in a way it was, but in another way it wasn't, but in another more real way it wasn't. It was it was basically blogging. Blogging wasn't even invented then either. I used to type it in and put it up on the website and say, here's an article. It's an article. That's what I used to call it. Or I'd say it's a Niels Belch. Or I'd say it's a thing. It's a thing. Then I found out you could just make a podcast, and any other stuff in your brain, you could just offload it into a crudely drawing cat webcomic, and the rest is history. Everything else that ever happened is history. It's a thing of the past, a pastular thing. Is that what they call it? Or is that a different thing? A pastular, is that a religious thing? Or is that pastoral? Or maybe that's pastoral. I don't know. So we can say pastular without fear that he'll think I'm talking about a religious thing. Sounds like a Church of England thing. Anyway, that's suffice to say, that's a thing I was taught by my teacher, Mr. Begley, in 5th class. He used to do that sometimes. He'd go, that's just, and then he'd trail off. It's a great way to get out of things. I just didn't have a fucking clue what he was talking about half the time. And then we went on to 6th class when we got Mrs. Donnelly, who was from Donegal in the northwest of Ireland and spoke a different dialect of the Irish language than anyone else spoke. So as a result, I pronounce a lot of my Irish words incorrectly to most people. I say a coo instead of a co, and I say stuff. You can't even remember what a coo means. It's something like her or hers or theirs or they or something, some grammatical thing like that. She made us do a whole mass in Irish and spend months preparing for it. You have to say, our father, our naher, a tower nav, go day for Danum, go dogged or reeve, go inter the holler on Tolov, something, amen. It was the our father in Irish, so it was like translating your prayer into code, so people couldn't intercept it. It probably would have been useful during the war. The Jews could have prayed in Irish and gotten away with it, and Hitler would have said, they're probably just discussing how much they love me. I'll leave them alone. See if they manage to create some blonde kids or something, because they seem like anyway, suffice to say, good morning.
Support the Podcastual Arts at no cost to you. Just click through the Amazon link at intoyourhead.com whenever you go shopping for anything, even if you use Amazon UK or Canada. We'll take your weird foreign money here. We're not proud. Just visit intoyourhead.com and click on the appropriate Amazon banner. Sit, Frosty. Sit. Good cat.
intoyourheadpodcast.com